NWA Cane Corso's podcast, where we talk all things dogs.
Yo.
Dog men.
What's happening?
Chilling. You know how we do, man. We busy. It's dog time.
Man, I don't know if we can call this just a NWA Exotic Bourbon collab, because we got Buck City in the house.
Oh, yeah.
We got Richard Schoolboy Garcia in the house, and we got La Potenza Lamont Morgan in the house. What's up, gentlemen?
What's going on, brother?
All good. How's everybody doing? Welcome to the panel and whoever.
What's up?
What's up, everybody?
Yeah, what's going on with the audience? What's up, boy buddies? If you here, hey, I appreciate you for joining. You're gonna really love this episode. We're gonna be talking to some experienced breeders. Again, we bringing y'all the most. What's up, Lamont Schoolboy? We got everybody in the building with Buck City Kennels. Joe, NWA Cane Corsos, y'all. We're gonna really be going into these dogs again, getting into deep, talking about that. We're going into the pit bulls today.
Mm-hmm.
American, the true dog, the true bulldog, the American Pit Bull Terrier.
Oh yeah. Hey, the dog game ain't nothing without the pit bull community. Yeah, that is the honest to God truth there.
Right. Yeah, that's a staple. That especially with the pit bull is a staple in American culture. Little Rascals. You're talking about dogs like
Sergeant Stubby.
Yes, exactly. All in the cartoons and stuff, with varieties of a bulldogs. And it's just America's dog, the American Pit Bull Terrier.
Yeah. RCA Records, that dog, the white one with black on him, that's a pit bull. Buster Brown shoes, that was a pit bull. You see him in different movies, old movies like The Yearling. Throughout the history of the U.S., it was the mascot prior to World War I. So most people have seen that banner. Has the American Pit Bull Terrier in the middle. This was before our entry into World War I. Then you have a Russian Irish Hound, French Bulldog, German Shepherd, all this, right? And the pit bull's in the middle, and the caption underneath said, "We're neutral, but we're not afraid of any of them." So that's kind of the theme that's been with the American Pit Bull Terrier since the beginning.
Right. So, and the thing for me about the Pit Bull Terrier is the physique. It's like, to me, it's the Bruce Lee of the dogs. Pound for pound, it's the grit, the intensity, the fact that that will continue despite having pain. That gameness.
Right.
That says a lot, and that's not natural.
Right. Everything about it was geared towards that competition side, from the structure, tolerance to pain and fatigue and frustration, even the short hair, all that geared toward an athlete used in competition. And from there, it branches off. The pit bull is versatile, can do a lot of different things, but that was the main function of the breed since its inception. Any fighting dog, those things are similar within them. You want, it's like a boxer or MMA fighter. They're stripped down to almost nothing. They have shorts on, sometimes shoes, sometimes not, some gloves. Back in the day, it was just a very skimpy undershorts, bare knuckle, something on their feet or nothing on their feet. But you want an athlete like that to be able to have movement and not run hot, and a lot of different factors, the physique too. I related a lot of times to boxing, because in boxing you have weight classes from 105 to over 200 pounds, all different nationalities, all different color people, all different backgrounds. That's kind of the breed, right? All types of structure, all types of where they come from, who owns them, because it's all geared towards that competition. So that's what it's based on.
And it's very different because it's one of the only varieties of dog that's ever been selected purely for sport, right or wrong?
Well, going back hundreds and thousands of years, yeah. But and then you have, but there's also been other breeds for sport, like the Saluki way back in ancient times for racing, and even greyhound racing. You have Iditarod, stuff like that.
Right. Okay.
But those are breeds that were developed for a function, and then they were used also, right? Just like the pit bull. If you go back to Egypt and Sumeria, right? They come from mastiffs and Molossers, right? Used in war dogs. So from that, a fighting dog was developed, right? Because, you're not always fighting war. You want some kind of entertainment, some kind of sport. People like to bet. Every culture has done it. So during their off time, or whatever you want to call it, they developed into a sporting dog as far as competition amongst each other. But they basically came from war dogs. Right. A lot of the other breeds come from hunting dogs and things like that.
Okay, so before we get started, let me just put a disclaimer out there that we just talking about from historical purpose. We're talking about the dogs. We're not an advocate. We're not promoting nothing illegal. We not or no forms of animal cruelty or nothing like that. This is about the dogs in general. We not advocating for nothing illegal. We not. So we're gonna be careful what we, how we word it or whatever. But it's really about the dogs that we talking about. Caring for the dogs, dog standards, all of these things going, and selection, breeding. All of these things are relative when you start talking about dogs in general. So that's why it relates, because the way that you care for a pit bull terrier, and in terms of whelping, breeding, day-to-day maintenance, the things that they may enjoy, like just being activities, the dog having something to do, no matter what that thing may be, chasing the ball, shaking the rope. But it's important for these principles can be applied across the dog universe, the universal dog principles in many cases. So that's why it's relevant information. So this to set the record straight, so everybody know, the reason and what we talking about, what's going on. It's not, but we're gonna get into some of these things that may be difficult to discuss. Some people may not agree with, but it's fact stuff. It's history though. It's history, it's facts, and it's something that happened in the past. It's not something we're not talking about no current events. We're talking about from historical purposes. And this is a pastime from, y'all feel what I'm saying, where I'm coming from though?
Yeah,
Yes, sir.
yeah. Hey, let me ask something. I know that we know what the dog's bred for. We know how the dog performs. We know about the dog's drive. But Buck, Schoolboy, Lamont, how is his intelligence?
Right. That's important. I think intelligence is important. Although some people might trade a little bit of that for some of the other traits, you know what I'm saying? But at the end of the day, when you get your finished product, you don't want them to have, a nice amount of brains in there too, So there might be a dog with a whole bunch of drive. He might just be dumb as a box of rocks, but his drive is over the top for what you need to do. And you would probably take him to maybe one of the smarter dogs that I wouldn't say is lacking something, because I don't really like to use those terms, lacking. You know what I'm saying? It's like, if you're developing something, there shouldn't be no lack, but just different traits and better traits that you want to put together and hopefully get a more well-rounded off product. That's essential. But brains is important. I think we can talk about historical times way back in the 50s when they was putting them in the square. You know, the smarter dog usually has the longer career. You know, if you're just a big brute dog that just goes in there head first and don't think about longevity, then you might not be able to, you know, be available for the next hunt or whatever. You know what I'm saying? So intelligence is very, very important.
Joe,
Yeah,
can you
you
hear
can
me?
look at it. You can look at the intelligence two ways, two different ways. Regular dog intelligence, the trainability, understanding different things as a dog, or you can look at, like Buck mentioned, as pit intelligence, their ability to perform and how it affects the outcome. Both they're slightly different, but intelligence, like with some breeds, they're not very smart as far as being trainable. I wouldn't look at it as a Iditarod dog for the most part as being a house pet, and several hound dog types. I'm not saying there aren't some that are, but you know, they would kind of be the exception to the rule because they're so high strung, they're so focused, they think about, they're living, breathing on racing or hunting. So they're not the best option for an obedience trained house pet per se. But as far as them knowing how to race or know how to hunt, you have to have intelligence. And the same with the pit bull. They have to be smart enough to be able to learn, to be able to change up, to be able to do what they want to do in terms of the competition side. And there's a lot of them that make great house pets, and they're intelligent that way. And I used to have little tests I do with my pups to kind of check where their intelligence was. But there's also some dogs that, for example, a Boleo dog, most of them are smart as far as the pit went back in the day. But as far as a house pet like that, a lot of them ain't good for that. They're too high strung, they're too wired, they're too wound for sound, you know, and too primal, you know, as far as they have a lot of finish and a lot of prey drive like that. So there is a difference between the two, and if you get one that has both, all the better for you. But generally, a pit bull is intelligent, and a lot of it has to do with their competition background, and some of it has to do with the fact that a lot of them changed hands more than once. So you have to have a dog that's able to change owners and live in a different area, different climate, different person, different rules, which is why most of them are not human aggressive. They can't be, or you wouldn't be able to send a dog across the country and have somebody use it or buy it. And a lot of these famous dogs were sold more than once, like Champion Rascal, like Champion Honey Bunch, like Art, Grand Champion Zebo. They went back and forth. And not only that, you have different handlers, different families, all this stuff. So the dog has to be amiable with people. And it kind of gets lost and forgotten about because most people don't know that. They think, and that's it. But no, they change hands several times, some of them.
Gotcha. Lamont, what's your thoughts on intelligence?
I wanted to add what Schoolboy was saying about changing hands. If you're talking about the combat sport of it, you know, way back in the day, at those events, the opponent would actually have to handle and wash your dog physically. You know what I'm saying? So that human aggressive stuff, you know, it was not allowed in that breed, you know, per se.
Yeah.
Very good point.
Yeah.
You wash your opponent's dog, he washes your dog, or his second does. Right. It's not the handler that does it, but the second does.
More change of hands because it's the second.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right.
Second does it, then you handle it.
Intelligent part, when it comes to the intelligent part, I think one of the drawbacks of having pit bulls back then was their intelligence wasn't challenged much besides in the box.
You fading out, Mont.
Now that's a great point.
Yeah, you fading out, Monk. Okay,
Joe,
now you back.
my back.
Yeah, you back now.
Okay, I said I think one of the drawbacks back then was the pit bull wasn't challenged much as far as its intelligence, besides simply the box, or
Right.
in a way of maybe hog hunting, or something that simply required a lot of brute force. And then people wanted them more than just for that purpose. So many dogs that weren't geared towards a family were put in situations like that. And I think that's why you had a lot of train wrecks at times. But there were also dogs, different lines that were bred. They had intelligence off the chart. The simple fact was they weren't tested to be used for anything besides, one or two specific purposes. So you never got a chance to see how intelligent a pit bull really was, because they were used for only a few things. Throughout the years, though, they've been used for different things, dock diving, other PSA sports and things of that nature. And it brought out the abilities that they truly, encompass mentally. So you had dogs that were really intelligent. They just didn't have an opportunity to show it because of what they were being used for.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
But I don't think certain lines had a limitation when it came to intelligence. I think some lines were bred balls to the wall. We had one purpose for them, and that purpose was used, and that was the good thing. All we needed you to do was be smart enough to figure out how to get some out your ass in, or out your front, or so and so. But at the end of the day, when they started to be open to using them to do more things, to see if they really had more to that breed than just what they were being used for, I think it shocked a lot of people, and it surprised a lot of people that they could do a hell of a lot more than what they were being used for.
Gotcha. Would y'all say that this dog is far more superior when it comes to conditioning than most or any breed?
Able to take certain kind of conditioning. There's other dogs that you condition the hell out of, but the pit bull has the ability to take some work that a lot of breeds can't.
Gotcha.
Yeah, the conditioning is relative to the sport or the work.
Right.
So there's no way a pit bull would outrun an Iditarod dog as far as endurance goes, because they're not built for that. But Iditarod dog couldn't work like a pit bull does either.
No.
Right? The difference with the pit bull is the versatility. Whereas other breeds, they're mostly used for one particular function. So the traits that come from that, or the senses that come from that, are minor. It's not an all-around thing. Like, for instance, a sight hound, right? It's mostly they use their eyes, right? A scent hound uses mostly its nose and everything related to that. So it's not versatile in that way. And I'm not saying they couldn't do something else, but the pit bull needs all its faculties, all its senses to be able to do what it does. And it has to have an innate ability to read an opponent or read the owner because of that versatility. Now, I want you to do this, what we did back in the day. Now I want you to hunt. I want you to bomb sniff and drug sniff. I want you to be, now they use them for protection or whatever, and catch dogs and all this, right? So it's in that respect, it's different from most other breeds.
Buck, what's your thoughts on that, bro?
Hold up.
Okay.
Oh, there we go.
Okay.
Go ahead. I just cut out a second.
Oh yeah, we was just I asked him the conditioning, do you think that it could take the most conditioning out of more breeds?
I think for sure, because of the fact that, you know, they were used for blood sport. Like if we take 100 dogs that, you know, are sporting dogs or whatever they do, pointers, you could go get the Labrador, you can go get any of those dogs, and under the conditions the pit bull is asked to perform under are the most, there's no dog that I know of that can do that. You know, like a pit can be per se, you know, half dead still performing, you know what I'm saying, versus a Iditarod dog, you know, if he gets his paw messed up, he's done, you know what I'm saying. The pit is going to go through that. So based on that, I just think the conditioning is overall superior, and you know, their genetic makeup is superior also.
Gotcha. Jordan, what you got for him, brother?
Yeah, well, I did this to follow up. Intelligence is always going to be a factor for me because I would rather have a smart dog than a dumb one anytime. I mean, it's like almost I don't see how that could be a benefit to have but I do get some dogs don't have to be that smart. He just can go. Because you're looking for brute strength, and so I get that too. But I would, you know, I could definitely see how the smart dog would always have an advantage. I did have a question. I did want to bring up some stuff. I wanted to maybe switch gears a little bit to get into, you know, we've been talking about performance, but I wanted to get into conformation and standards, right? And standards and selection, because a lot of times we keep hearing that the function is based, the reason that they draw these standards up the way that they do is because of the job. And how far does that go along with pit bulls, and how much does that make a difference? Because I see a lot of variety. I see all different colors, shapes, sizes, you know, builds, ear sets, tail sets, some dogs cow hockey, and it don't look like it even matters.
Well, just what you said. So if a dog is bred for function, right, some kind of work or sport, then how can you have one standard for all of them? You can't. Because in the real world, whether it's hound dogs or greyhound, whatever, there's variance in them. You have one breed of hound dog, even within that breed, they don't all look the same because they're not bred to look the same. They're not even the same color. So with that being said, you have to have an overall understanding of the breed itself, how that function relates to the structure, and to be able to judge dogs regardless of whether they're short, tall, thin, thick, long, short, any faults that a dog has, it's a fault regardless of how it's bred. If you cow hawk, you cow hawk. Doesn't matter if you're tall or short. You're bow-legged, tall, it doesn't matter. If you've seen enough pit bulls, you'll understand what I'm talking about. So right. As far as me, when I judge dogs, I judge based on symmetry and proportion, evenly built dog. So if you have a big, thick head, you better have a big, thick body, right? If you're tall and thin, you better have a deep chest, deeper than most, and a thin waist. If you have a pin-headed dog with a long muzzle, the body should reflect that as well, so that it looks evenly built throughout. And I'm sure I have a standard somewhere written somewhere, but I don't follow it. I never have. I even have it part in one of my books about judging the American Pit Bull Terrier, and I explain it all in there. I think it's in Family Bred and Raised. But I go through that because in my mind, there's no way to say this whole breed has to look a certain way. You can't have it.
So,
and let me make one other point. So because that's being done or has been done with almost every other breed, talking about the show side of it, what has happened to them? Disaster.
Disaster. So that was my next question.
Yeah.
Are you able to look and see a champion, let's say a grand champion, performance-oriented dog, and then does he still represent a champion in the show ring?
Yes, because it's happened many times.
Yeah.
I've judged some of them, not just champions and grand champions, but 1-2-time winners.
Okay.
Like that, even game losers. Yeah, definitely. There's several of them that have both titles.
But
a lot of the Thorold dogs fall under that category. They were pit dogs in the past and also made the show ring.
And this is so y'all would show the dogs at what a ADBA or
right.
It was a confirmation shows.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
You're changing your mind, ain't it, Jordan?
It's a lot
it makes
data
sense
coming out though.
It makes sense to me because it's more that's specific to the pit bulls. It's not like it's different. It's a different type of so they looking at, they know the breed, right? And they're experts at the breed, the pit bull, and so they're not going over like the teeth or I don't know.
They are.
They do.
Yeah. You can't have for perfect confirmation. Your teeth got to be there.
Oh, I didn't know.
You got to have a good bite. You got to have a scissor bite. That's a part of the standard.
Well, that's the ideal, and some of them don't. But it's very few points taken off. Depends on how bad the fault is, right? If you're extremely undershot, you ain't gonna win.
No,
or have an overbite.
I'm thinking like just teeth missing,
or missing teeth. Yeah, right.
You're getting docked for that, for sure.
Yeah. You gotta have. It's better if you have all your teeth. But if you have a bow-legged cowhawk sway back dog that has all his teeth, and you have one that has better conformation and he's missing some, which one would you give it to? The one without teeth.
But if you got the no teeth dog on your yard, you're not bringing them to the show either.
You shouldn't, because it's very unlikely that you'll not win, depending on who else is in the ring.
Well, what I was speaking to was
you want them to have all their tools.
Yeah, not born with no teeth, but but due to the work being performed, you could lose a tooth or two.
Whatever. Hey, just biting a brick, and they bust their teeth out. Yeah. It's important to have everything on them.
I like that though. That's definitely interesting, and that's definitely new to me. I didn't know that the ADBA had dog shows and confirmation shows and stuff like that.
No, they're huge.
Oh yeah, they're big.
We produced the champion Marisol. She's beautiful.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
She's the most stunning dog you'll see.
Wow.
Go back. This goes back many decades that they've been having them.
Somebody in the comments says, so there's no difference from the AKC to the ADBA show.
Yes, there's difference.
Oh, okay. What would the differences be?
The AKC has a particular standard. First, they don't call it the American Pit Bull Terrier, even though they share the same roots, right? But their standard is specific. Everybody knows what a staff is, generally American Staffordshire Terrier or just a Staffordshire Terrier. When you see those dogs, big head, thick like that, that's their standard. And there's pit bulls that look like that, but most of them don't. That's the difference. Because most of those dogs come from the English side of the breed, so they're more of a bulldoggy looking type.
Okay.
And ADBA is a specific show for pit bulls.
Okay.
Right.
Hey, before somebody was asking, Schoolboy got books, and this is one of his books right here. So yeah, he got books. You can tell him about later.
Yeah, drop a link. What was the name of the book?
Well, this is one of them, but he got several books somebody was asking about. This is called Schoolboy's Keep. There's one book.
I got this one right here.
Yeah. So yeah, he got books.
Hey, thanks for the plug.
Hey, this one.
Yeah,
this one's signed, y'all.
Yeah, mine is too. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mine is too.
Thanks, guys. Yeah, I have 3 books. and my key.
Right.
You know, one thing interesting about, because we're talking about confirmation, I don't want to skip over the fact that there's new developments coming in, and that's because there's a lot more to those ADBA shows than just confirmation. You know, they've been having weight pulling for a long time, and as of the last 5 years, I've been peeking my head in. They're doing a lot of wall climbing, treadmill races, you know. So this, we're talking about confirmation. Every confirmation might not be good for all of these different events, right? Like you might be that perfect confirmation in the show ring, but you might not be able to jump 12 feet or, you know, however high on the wall, you know, or you might not be that fast at the treadmill, you know. So you're gonna get your different phenotypes for whatever type of sporting event you're gonna be doing. And the Pit Bull Terrier, I think it just has the most interchangeable pieces to where you can, if you're paying attention to what you're breeding, you can accomplish that and kind of, you know, cultivate, you know, the perfect dog for what you're doing for your needs.
Very good point. Yep.
That's for you, Jordan. Doug was trying to get your attention on something.
Oh, let me see.
What I mean is there a standard for the dog and the principles apply for either club.
Every club has their own standard.
Right. Right.
They vary a little bit, but they're all pretty much the same.
What y'all think about what do y'all think about the AKC standard as far as for the pit bull though? It doesn't fit, or is it
for most of them it don't. But that's because the standard has changed. For example, back in the probably the 30s or 40s, Pete Sparks, you know, he's a historian, dogman from way back in the day. He put out a magazine called Your Friend and Mine. He entered his pit bulls in UKC and AKC events. They were triple bred. ADBA, which was called something else before it was called the ADBA, that, and then UKC, which is, they have a standard for American Pit Bull Terrier, and AKC, which are Staffordshire Terriers. So he was able to register his dogs with the AKC as well and enter AKC confirmation shows. And he wrote an article about it one time, how they kind of snuck in there, right? They weren't staffs per se. They were pit bulls, but because they met the standard, they were allowed to compete in the confirmation show. And he even gave the record how many won and what ribbons they won and all that. So but like I said, that has changed. Just like if you look at a bull terrier 100 years ago, it don't look nothing like it does today.
Right.
Or even a Rottweiler, German Shepherd, Old English, Bulldog, all that. They all changed based on the shit. I don't even know. But when it's based on confirmation shows, right? That's ruined so many breeds that most of them ain't even the same, unless it's a person that has that breed, has been using it for a function, breeds them for that purpose, and keeps the best ones and breeds the best, all that same standard of breeding stuff. But they're markedly different, man.
So how does the pit bull community avoid those same failings of the other, like the AKC?
Well, you got to do something with them. You got to do something with it. Constitution, health, high immune systems, working ability, finish, prey drive, athleticism, which a lot of people do. But a lot of people, again, are going to that side where they don't do anything with them, and they're just conformationally sound, but not physically even, or mentally, or athletically sound. When you have people that aren't involved in the breed for particular reasons, where they're just getting any breed for a pet or a house dog, or they just like it or whatever, and they don't understand all these benefits that I'm talking about that dogs need, then you have you know, not even the breed anymore, even though it is. Like, what is it? Why do you get a dog? What do you want a dog for?
Right.
Most people want toys. They want toys.
They want a toy.
Toys.
They want a pet. They want status. Like you guys were talking about. It's interesting, that show you had yesterday. A lot of what you were talking about is across the board. It's not just in Borbals. It's not just in Cane Corso. It's not just in German. It's in Pit Bulls too. All that, what you guys were saying, all the politics, all the standards, all the difference in weights and sizes and structure and all that. Right. It's across the board with every breed. And it's permeating into the Pit Bull scene more and more. And one of the reasons, you know, like me and people like Buck, we get on here, we're online, is we're trying to keep the history known of the breed and trying to encourage people to do something with their dog. And I'm talking about just exercising or hunting or entering them in shows, you know, legal sports or hunting coyotes or raccoons, something. Because if you don't do that, they lose it. There's an old saying, if you don't keep the gameness in the dog, it's lost in 1 or 2 generations. Well, it's not just the gameness. It's every other function that their skin is not as thick. Their tolerance to pain is not there. Their endurance, their chest, just like a lot of staff, you see, they have a round chest. They don't have a deep chest. You can't breathe that way if you're an athlete. So that's what I'm talking about, where, you know, it's even happening within the pit bull world.
Yeah, since I've been doing this, every dog I've been running across is different types, different agendas in each dog. I think sometimes we put too much stock in the AKC. When people say AKC ruin a dog, AKC don't really do nothing but hold paperwork, but it's the breed club that makes the changes. I think that's a big misconception. A lot of people think the AKC is just doing shit.
Yeah, they just blaming the AKC is like a blanket, you know, when they say they, them,
right?
You know,
yeah, because some people don't give a damn about the AKC. They breeding for what they want and function.
Exactly, and they just want their dogs registered, and generally you register dogs to keep the history of your family and the history of the breed alive, to know how dogs are bred. I'm not against anybody that doesn't want to register their dogs, but if people do for whatever reason, that's good too, because believe me, if you live another 50 years, or if I live another 50 years, I'm going to want to know how my own dogs are bred. And if I don't have a record of it somewhere, I'm not going to remember. People don't, they think they're going to remember 20, 30 years. You ain't. It has to be written down somewhere, even if you keep your own records. That's fine.
Right. You know, I remember back then they didn't register pit bulls. The old men that I talked to you about, Mr. Schoolboy, that you couldn't pay them to register a pit bull.
Nah, a lot of people didn't. I didn't even do it. Yeah,
they knew it. They knew it. They knew the grandpa. They knew the granddad, the great granddad, and so on and so on. Because a lot of them came off of that yard, or they came off a good friend's yard. And sometimes, you know, I did see those tablets where they wrote it down, because at some point you had to keep track of it so you wouldn't cross things that didn't necessarily need to be crossed. But until I was in my early 20s, I didn't know anything about registering a dog. And that was with the Joe. That was with the Corso.
Mm-hmm.
And it was ICCF.
Yeah.
Because AKC didn't recognize Corsos back then.
Mm-hmm.
All we had was ICCF, and I'll never forget when I received that first paper. I'm like, what am I supposed to do with this? Well, I still got that pit bull mentality. I'm like, nah, I ain't been registering my dog, because you know, back then it left a paper trail.
Yeah, you finna track me.
It left a paper trail, and you wasn't finna leave a paper trail if you were still doing things that was frowned upon.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so the registry side of things is good when it comes to people being able to show their lineage, researching when you have health issues in your lines, or you know, things of that nature. It helps to be able to track that and go back. But most people, they don't register their dogs when you give them the paperwork. I got now to where, remember, Joe, I told you I register all my dogs.
Yep.
I register for you. If you purchase a dog from me, I register them, because most people, I'm gonna hand them that paper. They're gonna get home and they're gonna put that folder in the drawer. And then when their friends say, "Hey man, did you get your papers?" He's gonna say, "Yeah, I got my papers." They're gonna say, "Where they at?" "In the drawer." But he never registered the dog. So yes, he has his papers, but he hadn't registered them. So what I do is when they get a dog from me, I take a few minutes, I register them online for them. They get their hard copy in the mail, and they get their other confirmation on their email. So registration, it doesn't change what kind of dog you have. You either got quality or you didn't. But now paperwork sometimes make people feel that they have more than what they have.
Right.
Because I got champions in my line. But they 8 generations back.
Yeah.
Yeah, 8 generations back. But what have those dogs that came up closer to what you have, what have they done?
Harriet Tubman had the last champion.
Yeah, there you go. There you go.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah. So
but
let me
it's a sales pitch.
Right. Even in our world too, ain't it, bro?
Yes, it's a sales pitch.
Yeah. Man, when y'all say everything ain't a bulldog, what do y'all mean by that?
Let me get it.
Well, go ahead.
well, no, I don't, because everybody got their own thing, but I think a lot of it comes from the mislabeling of the breed. Well, me, what that means to me is it's a little frustration with the mislabeling, because the pure American Pit Bull Terrier, yeah, we do got human aggressive dogs. You know, occasionally, you know, you'll get a batch or, you know, some dogs like that, but that's not really their nature. And when we see things on the news, just let's say down in Compton, you know, God bless the, you know, the soul, you know, the man, the family, you know, everything. But when I saw those images of those dogs, those are not American Pit Bull Terriers, you know, but they get thrown in that umbrella, and that's we already got enough heat on us already. You see what I'm saying? Like all historically, like I think this is probably the hardest breed to own, period. You know, like they're probably riding around looking for yards right now as we speak, you know, to turn up, you know. So when you mix this dog, it's no longer a part of us anymore. It's no longer what we've had, because our lineages go back 140 years, 200 years. That's how far our dogs go back. So when you add this bulldog or this, you know, whatever it is to the lineage, even if it's, like I said yesterday, a little iota, when you do that, he's no longer a part of this fraternity. You know what I'm saying? So when they go bite people, when we look on TikTok, we see people coming out salons with rollers in their hair, trying to stop a dog from fighting. You know what I'm saying? Two dogs just walking down the street. They always label it pit bull, and so we just want to kind of educate people. Like, wait a minute, like these are the dogs. These are how we keep these dogs. You know, we wanted them secure on the chain so that they wouldn't get out. And what do the people want? They want to change the laws so you can't use chains. They want to do all these things that make the dog less secure than we had them. You know, so I think that everything.
And a lot of times, them are curs. To be honest, that's what I see happening going on a lot. Those big dogs that they had. Right, that just took the person out, the dude and the lady, they were standing on top of the thing or whatever, and they was calling them pit bulls, and I'm looking at them, I'm like, first of all, the pit bull, like you said, is supposed to be it's not man aggressive. It have to be handled by multiple different people. So that letting y'all know right then, when you hear a pit bull done bit someone, 9 times out of 10, that was a cur dog. That's a dog. A cur is a imposter pit bull. It's not a real pit bull. or is it a pit bull?
Well,
there's two.
Is a terminology kind of.
Okay.
Yeah, there's two meanings to it.
Yeah.
The pit bull that's not game, and any other breed that isn't a pit bull.
Right.
right. So I was kind of on point, right?
Yeah.
I was partly correct.
not to be disrespectful.
Right. No
and the term bulldog, of course, comes from the English side of the breed, but in more modern times, back in the day, even right, it meant a dog that was proven or tested. And it was something that you had to see with your own eyes to say that's a bulldog. He's no quit at him, talented, athletic, all that stuff in it. So it's just a, and then some people just use it as a general term. They have pit bull. These are my bulldogs, right? And now even people use the term hound. The word Hund in German means dog, so maybe that's where they're getting. I don't know. I don't prefer it, but I don't chastise anybody for using it. They call your dog whatever you want. I call mine pieces of shit. You know? They all curse. In fact, somebody would tell me, you know, before competition, you know, hey, schoolboy, I'm gonna whip your dog. I'm gonna put your dog down. I'm gonna do this and that, right? I tell him, good. I don't like him anyway. Whip his ass. And then I go tell my dog, you know, hey.
He used to call just any dog a hound, you know, like,
yeah,
what's up with those hounds?
Yeah.
Or what's, you know what I'm saying? It was just a hound dog, but I guess not the official hound dog, but just like you a hound, you a dog.
Yeah. And like I said, it could come from the German word Hund, you know, that's where the hound dog name comes from.
Right, exactly.
So it turned into a like you know, maybe it started in Mississippi, like his grandpa and all that, and then it just branches out and people just latch onto it and start using the word, you know, just generally, just like bulldog, same thing.
Yeah.
I tell you what, what you said is funny because I kind of check out how pit bull men talk. I called this Popular one time. And because, you know, I was trying to get an interview with him. And I said, hey, how you doing, sir? You know, I'm on my best Negro stuff. Hey, sir, how you doing?
Yeah.
He said, he might as well said, boy, what I know about a Corso. You know, he's about to tell me, I'll sink a dog on that damn Corso. What you ask me about? Well, I ain't got nothing to contribute to no Corso community.
Not to disrespect anybody, but sometimes people's ignorance gets in the way. You know? You have to be open-minded. I have, like, for instance, I'll say his name. He's a top dog man back in his day, Paul Renault Morris. He was a chicken man first. I interviewed him. We talked about chickens.
Yeah.
Game fowl. Why? Because there's a lot of things related between pit bulls and game fowl. So you have to be more broad-minded and open-minded and find some connection so that you can talk about the same thing, even though you're talking about different breeds. So, you know, that's why Joe asked me to come on. Yeah, because they're dogs.
That's
and if they have a function, the concept in the dog's mind is the same, even though the function may be different. And a lot of things might be different about it. But they're going to do some type of work.
Yeah.
Well, how do you do that? How does a dog do that? Where does that come from? What does it entail? There's a lot of shit.
Husbandry alone, we could talk a whole month on just that.
That right there. Yeah.
You know,
you're right.
You know, dealing with hard keepers, and you know, I mean, we deal with that with all across the board. You know.
Yeah, you're right, but it's almost never ending
stuff. You know, how do we prevent this? You know, those are conversations. You know. So
right, and see, so part of what I got going on, I'm into the essence of dog, and we was just getting into the keeper. Since you mentioned that, talk about the significance of hand walking. A lot of my game dog buddies is telling me that that's the way to do it. You know, you got to get that in. There's no way to shortcut it, and they have different guys coming working their dogs and walking them and stuff, or that's what they would do, and they would have to get these the 10 miles in, but it's just like better than riding a bike, better than a treadmill, or they would use that in conjunction with the treadmill. They didn't miss those hand walks though. Talk about the significance of that and the relationship that it builds with the dog, the bond. How important is that with the pit bull?
Go ahead, Buck, and then I'll follow up.
I think it's very important. Now, I wouldn't say, well, I would say it's 1A and 1B. Let's say hand walking and then bike, because the bike is effective too.
I love the bike. I love the bike.
I think the hand walking is probably going to get a little bit more bond with the dog, just slightly. But that's time. That's time that you're spending with the dog. The dog loves that. He loves you. He loves, being around you. I tell people, man, let your dogs relax and, be dogs, man, because that's what's going to make them, if they go through adversity, all they're going to have to do is think about those good times. If they don't have any good times to think about, you might be in trouble, man. That means that you haven't been treating that dog, the best he could be treated, or, he's not really bonding with you like that, so that's important. You see little animals and different things, you get to talk to them, teaching them how to kind of turn up the intensity. Like if it's time to jump this wall, like he knows, like when he sees squirrels, I probably give him that same damn sound. You know what I'm saying? So he's already looking around, like, and when I get him out the thing, hey, he know what's up. He about to go do something physical. So hand walking is important. The bike, like, don't exclude the bike also. If you can get them to be able to walk, beside you and trot, on the bike and get that same 10 miles in. I was doing 11 at one time. I was doing 7.5 at one time. And I really couldn't tell the difference. The dog was in premium shape,
Miles?
Yeah.
You said Miles?
Yeah, Miles. Yeah. In my opinion, and this comes from a lot of experience, knowing different, all kinds of different conditioners. There's no best way to do anything. No best method. There's no best contraption or whatever. It's the conditioner that makes a difference. Some are better than others. So along there, you're going to find out what works best for you, what works best for your dog, is how you like to do it, how much time you have, a lot of different factors. With that being said, hand walking has been something within the breed since the beginning. It's an important factor. The difference would be if you can do a lot of miles, 10-mile hand walking and maybe some jogging and all that, it builds endurance. But it doesn't get the heart rate up like you would do on a treadmill or running beside a bike or ATV or even flirt pole. So you got to do more than one thing. But also, in my opinion, it's not, I wouldn't do a bunch of different things, because the more you do, the more chances you have of screwing your dog up. And not that I didn't do a bunch of stuff, but when it came to my keep, I had a particular way of doing it. Because all the build up to that dog from a pup to adulthood, I did a lot of different things. Swimming,
I was
spring pole, tug of war, flirt pole, chase a ball, all this stuff. But in keep, I didn't do all that stuff. That's kind of the prerequisite to building them up, to having them ready for me to condition. And I taught my dogs, all of them, whether they made it or not, my keep from when they were young. So if they did make it, by the time they were adult, they already knew how to do it. And it just made it easier for me, right? But hand walking always been an important part. As far as the bonding, yeah, you're close. Not just the bonding, but when you holding that lead, you have a direct connection to your dog without holding the dog. You feel your dog through that lead. You can tell when he's tired. You can tell when he's slowing up, backing down, his strength, especially where he's getting weak, and just his mannerisms. Where is his focus at? What does his gait look like? How does his tail? Is it dropped? Is it up? Is he wagging? What's he, the eyes, are they clear? Does he have, is Is he paying attention to what you're doing? Is he watching where his feet are moving? You know, you want to get a dog to work with their head straight, looking in a direction that they're going. So they have to be able, if you're going up and down and side and over different surfaces and go here and there, you want the dog to be able to keep its balance while it's doing all this different stuff. That's where the hand walking comes into play too. And you can feel it. Dog gets a sticker in his foot, you can tell right away. If he got if he starts gimping or he's looking around instead of being focused, it tells you a lot about the dog. So it's a lot of it is that bonding you're talking about.
That relationship.
Yeah, that relationship.
Yeah, see, I feel like that's been overlooked. That's been something that's kind of lost, that we getting away from, the natural dog and man relationship. You know, this the band best friend. And even though this is a working dog, it still is important to get the most out of your dog.
The hand walking can also be used in different aspects, as far as like that could start your workout. You could take that dog on a 2-mile walk before you actually put him on the meal. It can also be your cool down. Once you work that dog and you worked his ass to death, that cool down, good mile walk, hand walk as well. And it depends on where you're walking him at. Us country boys, we have no street to walk them on. Sometimes they might walk over 15 acres, 20 acres. It just depends on how we walked and where we walked to what results. And I believe hand walking is still the most natural way that dog can train. Us putting them on a meal, us putting them on a genie and going around in a circle, and even in the swimming pool, those kind of things, those aren't actually natural. Them walking on that lead, putting a harness around you and having a lead and putting your weight back a little bit, giving him a little resistance when he's walking. Now he's digging. Now you're not only doing conditioning as far as endurance, now you're doing some strength work as well. I forgot. I ain't always been a Corso dude.
We get there.
No, very good. Very good. I
ain't always been a Corso dude. But so those type of things. And at the end of that walk, when you take him off that lead and he jump up in your lap, that's the bonding side of things, and encouraging him while you're doing that hand walking. That's where mine always knew my voice. When we got to 8 miles and he wanted to kind of slow up and I make that squirrel sound, he knew I was right there with him. So in turn, when he did get in some trouble or he was running hot and he heard that squirrel sound, he knew I'm right here with you, baby. I ain't left you. Don't leave me. I ain't gonna leave you. So it's not always the tools you use, is how you use the tools.
That's right.
Very good point. Yeah, exactly. I got to the point where I didn't really do a lot of hand walking. I did like he just said. I did it to warm them up, empty them out, do the work, cool them down afterwards. And the cool down afterward for me was important in this respect. When you worked them out, they're going to be breathing heavy, right? Depending on how hard the workout is. The cool down is to get them down back to where they're breathing normal or regular, or their heart rate is more normal, right? They're not breathing heavy. They're not panting that fast. So after a workout, you want to see how long it takes them to cool down to get to that point.
Right.
And if you look at it this way, the beginning of the keep, the dog's not in that good a shape, right? So the cool down is going to take a certain amount of time.
Right.
Towards the end of the keep, when you're doing more work, harder work, longer distance, longer time, whatever it is, the cool down should be less time for him to cool down.
Right.
Should be in better shape.
Yeah.
Because he's in better shape. So even though you're doing more work, harder work, the cool down, his recoup time is shorter.
And that's a way for you to measure how far you've came and how far you got to go.
That tells you where your keep is, where you're at in the keep. Exactly.
Yep. Because
at the same time,
going too far, right?
yeah, you see, that's what most people do when they don't have experience.
Yeah.
And you can learn. It's very few people that know their shit right away. That's how you learn.
Right.
At the same time, in the beginning of the keep, you're going to take them out there. If it's a hard worker, a good worker, got a good work ethic, he's going to do the work, and he's going to come to a point where he hit his second win, let's say. That might take him 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes. And then for me, they're going to have to recoup on the fly, right? Means they're going to slow the work down, catch their breath. That's going to take a certain amount of time. Again, the farther you get into the keep doing more work, that second win, it comes later. Where before, maybe it was at 15 minutes. Now you're heavy into the keep. It takes 30 minutes or 45 minutes before he hits that hot spot.
Right.
And also that recoup time on the fly is going to take less later on in the keep than it did earlier in the keep because they're in better shape. So those are some measurements I use to see where my dog's at in condition. If it don't play out right, I'm screwed and I got to adjust. And that just might mean giving them some time off. It might mean you're over supplementing them too much protein, this and that. You got to do a ton of them to figure all this out. But once you got it down pat, you generally don't make a lot of mistakes. You know where you're at. I could tell if I peaked out just right. If I'm 100%, I'm good to go. I could tell if I was coming up a little bit early, or if I passed it a little bit. And if I totally screwed up, and for me, I couldn't fix it. They're done. They hit their peak already 3 days ago, and I can't even get it back. You can rest them, you can walk and do. I've seen people do, but I've seen too many times, myself included, where once you hit that peak and you pass it, you ain't gonna come back from it. The dog has to go through a cycle, so to speak, where they have to hit that peak, come down off of it, rest, relax, go through their whatever daily life, and then in a certain amount of time, a month, 2 months, 3 months, 6, whatever it is, you can condition them again.
Right.
What did the feed look like, and did you use supplements during the keeps?
Say that again.
What did the feed look like, and what did you guys use supplements during the keeps?
Well, yeah. Well, I did. I used they don't make it anymore, but the kibble I used was Neutro Max Stress, it was called. And I fed chicken, sometimes beef, liver. Just depends. I use brown rice. Some people use spaghetti. Again, with the feed, it's a matter of getting a balanced diet. It's not so much this type is better than that type, but there is different proteins and even fats where you get different effects. So you have to practice with that and find out which one you like. For example, I would use beef if I want a more stronger, bulkier dog. If I want a more all-around type of athlete, I'd use chicken. Some people use fish, and they have different amounts of protein. For example, chicken, poultry, like that, it has a higher content of protein than beef and fish. Fish is basically the lowest one you can use. But it's a cleaner type of protein. It's a different type of protein. Same thing with a fat. I use the fat, whatever meat I'm giving them, that's the fat I use. Other people, they use fish oil, they use mackerel or for their fat. Some people now they use coconut oil and all different kinds of stuff. But you just have to practice with it and see the results. And I even did a video, practice keep, and I did that so I could test the feed I'm giving, different supplements, taking something away, adding stuff, how much protein I should use, how much fat, like that. And that's where I did my practice keeps, or if you want to call it a pre-keep. People talk about pre-keeps, but my pre-keep for my dogs was their whole life. It's all that from when they're very young to adulthood. And once I did all that with them, I knew what their weight was going to be. I knew, what their diet, the type of diet they needed, how they work, what I could do with them, how far I could push them, when to back off, when to give them rest, when to increase the work. So even my keep, the one I sent you, Joe, it's a general keep, basically. And some people have followed it to the letter. I haven't had anybody get back to me and say, I didn't work or I didn't like this and that, right? So I'm getting good feedback from it. But it's more geared towards giving you the concepts of how to work a dog.
Yeah.
So someone could take my keep using those concepts and they could do whatever they want to do with their dog. They can use a treadmill. They can use a cat mill. They can use a spring pole. They can use swimming, anything, because it's the concepts of how to condition that matter most. And so if you understand those concepts, it really don't matter what you do.
Right.
It's the result.
Gotcha. Mont, let me ask you this one. Because you've been in sports a long time, coach a national track team now, conditioning a lot of athletes. What's the similarities? What's the differences or things you done learned over time to you can probably insert into your dog's conditioning?
The food.
The food.
That food bowl. That dog can only give you what you're giving it. And it's just like with the athletes. Their production is going to be what you put in their body because their body needs it. So it's only going to be able to give you the fuel that you're giving it. So like when Schoolboy was just talking about keep, I know several times where I've seen people, they worked the hell out the dog and they got beat in the food bowl because that dog didn't have enough in him to sustain it when it needed. There's so many different ways throughout the years. You got to think, I started seeing a keep done when I was 10, 11 years old. I've seen a keep done too many different ways to say this is the right way, this is the wrong way. Now, I can see some things that say that's the wrong way, but there's still so many ways that people do it and it works. You know, you have a basic, usually a model that you can start from, but at the end of the day, there's so many different ways. I got a friend that he can do a keep with a flirt pole, a water trough, and hand walking. And when you show up, you're not going to be in better shape than him. Don't ask me how he does it. But, and I think am I going out, Joe?
Yeah, you're going out a little bit, but I think you're coming back in. You're going out a little bit. Yeah.
Perfect example of what he's saying. Perfect example.
Yeah, go ahead, Schoolboy.
So
I was gonna go ahead.
A lot of it is the feeding and the nutrition that you're giving the dog. That's where you can base your workouts on, because you have to have the fuel in the tank in order to push the motor.
Yeah, very good point.
For sure.
Because that food has to match the work that you're doing and the outcome you expect from it. So a good example, Mr. Gray, I've interviewed him. I've known him for years. I've seen him compete back in the day, going back 40 years. He fed his dogs a lot, and I mean a lot, but that was because he worked his dogs harder than most. So as an example, when he fed his dogs after their workout, their belly was bloated, right? Filled with food. But by the morning time come around, their belly was normal because they absorbed all those nutrients, which was necessary because of the type of work that he was doing. So if you don't match that feed to your work, then you're just like Lamont was talking about. You're going to be lacking. The dog's going to fall short. And again, that's all practice and trial and error. And there's a lot more information now about certain things, everything about nutrition for dogs and different supplements. I always gave them a vitamin, mineral, trace element supplement also, and some other things that I won't mention. But I didn't use, I'll say this, I didn't use steroids. Most people did. I didn't care if they used them or not, but I didn't do it.
Oh,
I'm
okay.
a breeder also, and I just there's
Oh,
too many long term.
Oh, okay.
What's that?
You didn't care?
No, I didn't care. Hell no.
Yeah.
It's still my knowledge, my dog, and my ability to condition and having the right dog, a good dog, against them. People think that some things are an advantage over other things. They could be, but that's not across the board. And I've said this: 90% of my opponents use steroids. I didn't, and I won most of my matches.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not saying the steroids didn't help them. They do. They're called an enhancer for a reason. So you got to know how to use them properly and this and that. I just didn't like the long-term negative effects from them because I bred my dogs as well. So I'm not knocking anybody for using them. They wanted to use them. I didn't care. It didn't matter to me. Yeah. Even not to be disrespectful, but some of my opponents would tell me, "Hey, Richard, I can teach you how to use steroids, and it'll help you." And I would tell them, "Why would I learn from you when you can't beat me? Yeah. Why would I learn steroids from you? You can't beat me." So it just didn't make no sense, Mm-hmm. And so I never had a interest in them. Some people live by them. It was necessary, and they were geared towards their keep. So I'll never say they didn't work or they screw your dog up or anything like that. If you know how to use them and you're good at it and you get the proper results, use them.
I got one more question, Jordan, and I'm gonna give it back to you. Okay. This question is for historical purposes. How much money have y'all ever seen somebody lose?
750 grand.
Tens of thousands.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Not in that rate, 30, 40, 50, like that.
Yeah.
In Ohio.
But again, this is, and I'll say this: the money don't necessarily match the show either. It don't.
It didn't. Toledo, Ohio. That's where it was. That's where it was. Toledo, Ohio.
Oh, I heard of some 200 balls.
Oh yeah.
Then 200,000. Yeah, I mean that's a lot of money.
This one was a stupid one, and it wasn't work. It didn't represent the pot. Put it like that.
Yeah. Mm. And Ohio has a rich history with the breed, man. I mean, there's so many dogmen come out of Ohio and were there that it was a hotbed at one time. All that Great Lakes area.
Oh yeah.
And Ohio, Bobby Love was there, Dave Adams, Crutchfield, and Frank Roca, a lot of top dog guys famous.
Good dogs.
And a lot of dogs. A lot of great dogs. Yeah. That's where basically the Kingfish stuff is from, and
Turtle
Buster. A lot of the Hetrick, Turtle Buster, the Hetrick blood, old Kobe Leitner stuff is from there. Zebo made his way up there. Grand Champion Art made his way up there.
It was amazing how those dogs floated. It's amazing how those good dogs floated throughout the country and left their mark in different places.
Exactly. Money talks.
And came back in time. You better say it. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. That's funny. The Corso is probably Ohio is probably the mecca for it too, isn't it?
Oh yeah. One of them.
Yeah.
I think New Jersey.
It's a beautiful state. If you ever been out there.
Yeah, I have.
Big lakes. Lot of forest and wood. Open land, agriculture, all this stuff.
Yeah,
especially we talked about this on the show the other day about when we were talking about the mecca of the dog game, the APBT world.
Yeah,
boy, he I like the historical perspective he put on it, but wherever those ports were to import those dogs, a lot of it originated in those spots first, of course. You know what I'm saying? It makes sense to me.
That's where the breed came in. When you have the immigration Yeah, you have the immigration of the people coming in. Well, the dogs ain't going to come in a different place. They coming right along with those people.
Yeah, right.
So,
Like
back in
Boston.
the
It's
1700s to into the 1800s, there were 5 major ports for immigration in the U.S. 4 of them were the Northeast. 1 of them was in Louisiana, New Orleans. So that's basically where the dogs came in to. So most of the breed began in the Northeast. And that surprises me because, the South gets a lot of credit, which they should. There's a lot of dogmen there, a lot of dogs, a lot of area, a lot of country people, all that. But the breed originated in places like Boston and New York and all those Great Lake states, because that's where the influx of the immigrants came from.
Yeah, that what they call it, the Ellis Island.
Ellis Island, that was in New York.
Yep.
Most of the Italian, European immigrants came in through there. And then where you see the Irish dogs coming in was during the potato famine in Ireland. That was in the 1840s or 30s or something like that, where the Irish emigrated over here. And of course, they bring their dogs too. And you still have them importing dogs through the Northeast, like Lloyd, what's his name? The one who had Pilot, Lloyd, and all these different Corcoran and Colby and all them. Still importing dogs from Ireland and England up into the mid 1800s.
So I'm glad. Okay, you mentioned importing variety. How important is maintaining individual bloodlines, or because do you think that bringing in variety is something that is necessary when you're talking about a breed that's been established for over 100 years? How necessary is importing dogs?
Well, if there's any importing, I would guess that most of it's going to be from Mexico, because importing them from and back in the day there was some from Europe, because wherever we sent our dogs, at some point they're going to come back to the U.S. Right? So people in England and maybe a little bit of Ireland, in the Netherlands, Holland, like that, we're sending dogs back here. But because Mexico borders the U.S., the dogs that went back there, at some point they're going to come back to the United States. So the importation is not that important, but the variety of it is. Outcrossing or bringing in different blood or fresh blood, so than
the American Pit Bull Terrier. How many dogs were in the foundation of the breed?
There's no way to tell. Yeah. There's no records kept. The only ones we have are the ones that were written about, like Lloyd's Champion Pilot, Champion Patty. You have Irish Biddy and different ones that were either imported or were direct descendants of dogs that were imported. Their sire and dam was imported. Because even how those dogs were bred, some of them way back in the day, the pedigrees were not kept, the records were not kept. It's just a footnote in an article that says this guy got a dog from Ireland and this guy got a dog from England, and like that. Because even Patty, I think his first 2 generations are there, but after that it's unknown. And a lot of them dogs, you go back far enough, it's going to say unknown, unknown, unknown. They don't even tell you the breeder that they came from, because nobody kept freaking records. That always irked me. And there's different reasons. There are different reasons why, they don't want you to know how their dogs were bred. They were illiterate and couldn't write them anyways. How their dogs were bred, or the people getting them didn't want nobody how they were bred, so they just left it blank.
Okay. So the foundation, talk about some of the health issues associated with pit bulls. Are there any health issues?
Well, there's the health issues, negatives, faults come from bad breeding practices, or it's just something that's in the breed genetically that it's going to come out. And most any fault is in there. What you're trying to do is get away from it or not increase it. Two terms I hate are purity and breed names, meaning pedigree.
Yeah.
If you follow those two things, you're going to get stuck. Man.
Why do you say pet purity? What's the problem with purity?
Because people want what they consider 100% bloodline or family of dog or this or that, which means there has to be heavy inbreeding. And if you want to lose your dogs, any breed, that's the fastest way to do it. Inbreed the shit out of them.
Right.
So because I mentioned this before. I get a lot of ideas and concepts from nature. So that's what I refer to when it comes to breeding dogs or standards or anything. A lot of it goes back to nature. Nature doesn't inbreed that much. They just don't do it. Even though people think because you have a pack of wolves, they're all inbred and related, they ain't. And all anybody has to do is Google it. Do lions inbreed? Do coyotes inbreed? Do Yeah, we're kind of.
Okay. What irks you too, schoolboy? I guess people don't know if you're going to do it. You need to know what you do. A lot of people I know say, if you don't know what you're doing, don't do it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Some people take it too far. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah. And why? Because it looks good on paper. It's purebred, right? It's the same dog over and over and over, or dogs, whatever. But if you don't have some kind of standards, even with that, and my point I was going to make is if nature doesn't do it, I'm not going to do it. Basically, I'm not going to upset the wheel. There's no reason, because it's been proven for thousands, if not millions of years, that certain things don't work.
Right.
So with things like inbreeding or any method of breeding that you're going to do, you got to have some kind of standards. So any tight breeding, any close breeding, any inbreeding that I was going to do or even thought of doing, health, youth, durability, constitution, as less faults as I can have, then I consider it. But if it's something that it just has been proven that if there's a major fault in there and you inbreed on that dog, that's what's going to come out most. You ain't going to get rid of it. You're going to increase it. I don't know why. I don't know if that's nature. And maybe that's why nature doesn't do it. But we can't do any better than Mother Nature did. The only difference with Mother Nature and pit bulls in the past is that we took out the instinct for survival. We took out that survival instinct to a certain degree, but everything else kind of falls in line with, you need youth, you need health, lions and tigers and bears, they don't breed when they get old. They either get killed, kicked out, or sterile. They have no youth. So it's just little things like that. And a lot of people don't agree with me. The only thing I can show is, the results to back it up over 40 years.
And you done seen many a kennels
lose their dog. Where are they at? Where are they at? Well, some of them, not all of them, but some of them, that's what happened. They get kennel blind. They inbreed so heavily. They don't want to bring any new blood in. They want to keep their stuff pure. And then after a few generations, their dogs are gone. They're not worthless anymore. I'm talking from degenerative heart failure, to blindness, to only having one kidney, to structure problems, mental problems. It just
prolapse.
And the point, all that. The point to that is to get what you want, purity or not or whatever. You don't have to do that. There's no reason to make those exceptions to do that. No way. Because if you know how to breed, the influence of that dog can stay there. and it'll stay there from him for a certain amount of time, and then his offspring and grandchildren like that. It just keeps going on. You don't have to lose the traits, even though the dog ain't around, and you don't have to do it by inbreeding. You follow the traits. You follow the dogs that show you what they have.
Right. Something weird I kind of see. Y'all correct me if I'm wrong, but I see people that breed from the pedigree, meaning, well, I don't understand it. They say, well, this dog, I'm gonna bring this dog way back in the front and blah. It just kind of. Have y'all ever heard anything like that?
Yeah.
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 Yeah. It can be done.
Explain that to me.
Well, now it's a lot easier because you have, frozen semen.
Right.
But if a dog lived long enough, basically what you're doing is you're making breeding 2 or 3 generations down the line. You're going to bring that stud that you used years ago, and you're going to breed him to one of his descendants.
Right.
A grandchild, great grandchild, a niece, a great niece, or something like that. So you're bringing him to the forefront. You're bringing it back.
Okay.
And you can do that with bloodlines too.
Okay. That's what they mean by that. Okay.
Yeah. Basically.
Okay.
Yeah.
It just, me, I'm all about result. I'm all about
exactly.
People say a lot of stuff, this and that, and I always ask, well, show me what you did, and where's all these dogs you're talking about? If it was back in the day, everybody would know. Who'd you beat? What was the time? Where was it at? In that respect, the community is small. Everybody knows what the hell everybody doing.
Yeah.
Right.
It's kind of hard to. Yeah, so now it's different,
While we on that, right? Talk about the journal. Talk about the way that it was able. How was the journal relevant to the advance and development and evolution of the game dog in the United States?
Yeah. Well, there's always been, at least since probably the 30s, magazines on the breed. Even probably before that. In fact, to the 1800s, the Richard K. Fox, the Police Gazette, used to report dog fights, cockfights, boxing, football, baseball, different sporting events. So it's just a continuation of that. So Jack Kelly, retired police officer and retired from his business. He had a plumbing business. He just started the Sporting Dog Journal, and it was a way to keep record of the competition of the people that wanted their records kept. And then you have where you want to give some kind of accolade. So you have champion, then you have grand champion, and eventually he came up with the ROM thing. But it's significant, especially now, because you can use those, go back as a reference and see what people did and what dogs were winning, losing, different bloodlines, different players in the game. It's just part of history. But even in real time, as you're going along doing it, you realize that this is going to be history at some point. So records have to be kept, because people naturally in sporting events or even agriculture and whatever, livestock, you got to keep records. You want records. You want stats. They do it in all the human sports, everything. They have, free throw guys and how many free throws and layups and whatever. I'm not familiar with basketball, but all the tackles you make, all that. Dog guys want the same thing.
Right. Yeah, it should. But a lot of times we just taking dogs and just putting them together, just doing anything, and just with no goal or no end result in mind.
Right. And no accurate record. Right.
No.
So you can go back and
records. That is
right. You're right. Yeah. That's why I did it. It wasn't so much the accolades, because if you win, you're going to lose at some point. You got to report that too, But it's more to keep a record of what was done, which dogs did it, any titles they earned as part of the history. If you're a pit bull guy or whatever guy, history should be important to you. Records should matter. And all a pedigree is a record of genealogy of a particular individual, a family of dogs. I think it's important. Some people don't. They didn't care. And it served them well because they never got in trouble. So I understand that part. But now when they come out and start, if they do interviews or talk, people really don't know what they're talking about. Or they'll go, I never knew that. And it's kind of playing catch up with all this information that wasn't available in the past. Now it is, which is great. But again, there's no way to reference it because it was never written down by anybody. So, a lot of people say, yeah, I had 200 fights and I had 300 matches and that. And I always call their bullshit. Yeah, my dog was bred, he got 5,000 offspring. Bullshit. The math don't add up. I'm not saying that people didn't do that, City?
But well, the journal it was a without all the social media and stuff and people being able to be connected like this, I think it served as a good tool to just kind of see who's legit and who's not. You know what I'm saying? In a way, because they also, other than the times and the weight that the dogs went and things like that, they also kept track of who reffed it. So let's say there was a popular ref that you respected, you could easily call him. He got the phone cord to reach 100 feet in the house back then.
Yeah.
And, just kind of ask him, hey, you saw Champion Cowboy, or you saw him, what I'm saying? Yeah, because you'll see it on there. You'll see that he ref 2 of his matches, So it could be used as a way to kind of see about the validity a little bit, And if we talk about the positive, you got to talk about the negative effects too, keeping track of all that data and stuff like that. People get into jams and then, you got all this valuable information about everybody. So it helped the breed and it also hindered the breed at the same time, if that'll put a little bit on it.
Yeah, because that was a part of the collapse, right?
You said what? What was that?
I said that was when they took down the journal, it was some kind of FBI investigation, or what happened with it? Or they just went out of. I know that it was used in some prosecutions, though.
Yeah, for sure. When did Jack Kelly pass? That was like 2005 or something. Schoolboy.
I'm not sure. I think it was after 2010, but he had given it up already.
Okay.
And both him and the person that he sold it to, they got busted again. That was like his second time. The first time, he actually went to prison for it, and he still edited it and
he went to prison.
Journal.
He went to prison
for dog fighting. Right.
Oh, okay.
And he still edited and sent the. What happened was, he was in prison. People send in all the information, right? His wife would collect it, send it to him in prison. He would put it together, send it back to her. She would print it out and staple it together and mail it out. He never missed an issue in over 30 years, even when he was in prison.
Dang.
The second time he was forced out, and that was the demise of the journal. So what Buck was saying is true. This is like a double-edged sword. It's good in one respect.
It was some indictments that went in.
Yeah. And the second time, they got him, it wasn't at a dog fight or anything like that, but they accused him of promoting dog fighting because he gave championship and grand championship certificates out to dogs, acknowledging that they were being campaigned in the pit. But even that, I don't know how that held up, because how's he going to know what's real and what's fake? You don't know just because you acknowledge it.
Yeah.
If I wanted to, because, for example, and I would never do it, I'm well known. He knows me. He never questioned anything. I could send in anything. He'd report it, whether it was true or not.
So he would just.
And that's how one he would just keep a record. Yeah. That's how one guy got out of it. He got hemmed up, and so he sent in a false report to the journal. And in court, that's what he showed them. Here's my report. I'm in jail. How am I going to do that? Or I'm being convicted. How am I going to do that? You have me under house arrest or whatever, or they're monitoring me. So how are you going to say I did something when I showed you that I can fake it and send it in and it'll get reported? And it helped his case.
Right.
Yeah.
But that's basically what happened. It ran its course and things changed. It went from being a misdemeanor to a felony to being a federal offense. And I wish people would realize that, man.
You got to excuse my novice questions, y'all. Y'all got to excuse me. But man, where the hell did the bully come from?
Where did what?
Where did the bully come from?
The bully?
Go ahead. Yeah. Go ahead, Buck. Go ahead, Buck.
Oh man.
Hey, both of y'all shook your head like,
well, I would say it's a myth. It's a real myth. I would say maybe a Staffordshire classified, because they, those dogs do got the same lineage. We established that some of the same background, cross with maybe some type of bulldog. That's my guess.
Okay.
And then
I'm right there with you.
And they could use the American Pit Bull Terrier also. You don't have to use a Staffordshire. But I believe, listening to different podcasts and, different things over the last few years, it was an actual staff that was used. But, everybody's doing their own thing. People had these little mutts and stuff, and then it's not always the guy that pops up on the scene with it also, like just like this podcast, we got access to this. It could be an idea that somebody didn't have access to show it like this, probably already had a version of that dog anyway, so it's kind of out there. But my guess is going to be a type of staff classified dog, and then you're going to get your bulldog. You're going to get, for like the XLs, of course, they're going to go more toward the, I don't want to say Cane Corsos, but Dogos, they got different type of Mastiffs and stuff that's going to get you those big 150-pound dogs, but the little guys, I know for a fact they're putting French bulldogs in those exotics. I seen that, those bullies. They're putting that English bulldog in there. That's a fact, up to date. But if you're talking about how it first started, I think it's a myth. But they're making those crosses today.
Yeah,
I agree.
What you got, Jordan?
Man, it's been going in and out for me over here. I didn't catch the last page. Is it been going in and out?
No, your internet must be wavering.
Fading.
Yeah. Now, because I seen you looking around. I was like, what's wrong with you?
My signal was fading, but
yeah, you back now, huh?
Yeah, I was. My camera had went out. My camera had went out. Yeah, okay. My battery had went dead.
All right, but you got anything?
No, we on point, man. I think we covered a lot. We was getting into some stuff. I was glad we touched on them health effects. And I like the fact that you said inbreeding is the health effects are a result of heavy inbreeding. That's the quickest way to go extinct.
Right. One or a couple of examples I use too is certain bloodlines are named after, and I just took the males, right? Certain bloodlines are named after dogs, right? Yeah, Bolio, Bully Son, Eli, Art, Zebo, all have bloodlines named after them. Those dogs ain't inbred, most of them. And not to say inbred dogs can't produce and they have their place, they do. Also, if you look at the ROM list, I did this too. I matched up the dogs that were competed with versus dogs that weren't competed with, and the number is 3 to 1. 3 to 1 of dogs that were competed with that made the ROM list versus dogs that weren't competed with and made the ROM list. And that's the same with those males that have bloodlines named after them. There's some that weren't competed with, like Rufus, like Stompanato. But going back to the inception, the ones I mentioned, Pilot, Champion Patty, Fly of Panama, and the Gas House Dog, Kobe's Patty, Kobe's Pincher, Art, Zebo, Boomerang, Bo Leo, all competition dogs. And most of them are not inbred dogs. So if you look at it like that, again, inbreeding has its place. But as far as competition, functionality, health, durability, constitution, they don't come from inbreeding.
Right. I'm gonna take some questions from the audience, but hey guys, let me ask them one thing. But give me your top 5 dogs. Well, I'll tell you what, give me your top 3 dogs of all time and your top 3 breeders of all time.
Whew, man, that's hard. Top 3. I'm gonna have to go with Grand Champion Mayday.
Yeah.
I gotta go with Mayday. I gotta go with Grand Champion Yellow Buck. That's another one. And let me slip a female in there. I'm going with Red Baby.
All right.
Breeders. It's not basically who I think is the best breeder, but who had the most impact on me in my career. You know, so I had to put Tom Ratliff on there. Untouchable Kennel, Tom Ratliff, RIP, good mentor. You know what I'm saying? Got to pull up, all of that. I remember I drove 3,000 miles to visit the Ratliffs.
Wow.
I think Patrick had a very, he's an impactful breeder. His dogs, the people that he chose to get his dogs from and the dogs that he's behind, you look at all the good dogs of today, you look far back in the pedigree, and you'll see Patrick in there. A lot of them. So I'll say Patrick. And I'll have to say, although people might think this is not that popular for me to say, but we got to talk about the economy about the game and the man that I believe who's been able to accomplish the most as far as revenue goes. I had to give it to Tom Garner.
Tom Garner, yeah.
Because the numbers don't lie. You sell, more a lot of dogs.
He scaled the shit out of it, didn't he?
It speaks for itself. I don't want to say a number, but
right.
But it wasn't like, I'm pretty sure we can name other breeders that are better and do things a different way and stuff like that. But I think those 3, just in their own different way, just kind of impacted my view about the business in this, this sport too,
Yeah. Schoolboy, 3 and 3.
Yeah. Well, I might go a little over.
Okay. I'll try to make it hard.
Yeah. Again, I'm like Buck. It's personal preference, but there has to be something to back it up also. So breeders, I would put Kobe, Carver, and Boyles. Boyles was a friend of mine, but the record stands. He's one of the top. And as far as an all-around dog guy, breeding dogs, raising dogs, competing with dogs, I would put Earl Tudor at the top. Females, I have 3 females from the past. Black Widow, Honey Bunch, and Dirty Mary. Males, my favorite from the past would be Grand Champion Art. I had Jeep Dog, so I put Jeep up there.
Mm-hmm.
Competition and producing. Bully Son's influence, right?
Mm-hmm.
And a third one for the males. Again, it's personal preference. I always like Grand Champion Angus as far as a competitor. And with all these people that Buck named and I'm naming, people and dogs, there's controversy about all of them. No one escapes it, not me, not anybody. There's always going to be negative things said. And doesn't mean they're warranted or not warranted. It's just there's so much information and misinformation out there that somebody's going to pick up on it and mention it or write about it. But if you're going on strictly record of competition, record of breeding, record of the impact that these people put out there, it's undeniable. There's hardly a dog anywhere today that doesn't have Colby or Cooter or Carver or Boyles. Well, not so much Boyles, but at least Colby, Tudor, and Carver has them in there somewhere, right? As far as competition, it's hard to beat Angus's record, hard to beat Jeep's record, and his production as far as modern dogs, he's at the top. Nobody else is even close, right?
Jeep.
Based on the record, number of offspring, their titles, and their production rate, ROM, POR, champion, grand champion, all that. It's kind of like in the racing industry, to use it as a comparative. If you follow racing, the three major, at least US, are Dodge, Ford, and Chevy. Everybody has their preference. They've all won races. But if you look at NHRA racing, drag racing, NASCAR racing, stock car racing, and IndyCar racing, Formula One, top, it's Chevy. The other ones ain't even close by a lot. And not that the other ones haven't won, but Chevy hits all the marks across the board. Even if you don't like Chevy, you can't deny it. So dogs like Angus, as far as record goes, and Jeep, as far as record goes, and the people that I mentioned, they're up here. We strive to be like those people, or I did back in the day, and having dogs like those dogs I mentioned, and the ones Buck mentioned too. You can't hardly. Mayday is up there, right? If you want to put them one and two, you got Jeep and Mayday, right? Gotcha. Very few dogs come close to it. Not even close. And you could say, well, they were bred more and this and that. Yeah, okay. They still had to produce. A lot of dogs that were bred a lot didn't produce very much. But those two were bred a lot and they produced a lot. So I don't see that as anything negative.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
They're significant contributors.
Yeah. I guess I'm gonna take some questions from the audience right quick. Thanks for the super chat. We're getting them super chats. Y'all give me a little change. Oh, snap.
Salute. Much respect.
Oh man, that's lovely, ain't it?
Samurai, what's up, brother?
What's the future of the American Pit Bull Terrier? Where do you see it going? What's up, Samurai? That's for either of you two gentlemen.
I don't think it's changed much, or other than the more avenues and more platforms for it. As far as law enforcement go, of course, it's going to be stiff. So if you own these dogs, you got to make sure you're on your best behavior. Make sure everything. You crossing your I's and dotting your T's. The other way around. But it's always going to be a difficult breed to own, even with the yard accidents that you have, and dogs escaping, and these dogs they special for a reason. But as far as the form and function and the dogs, you know, it's still being able to be good dogs. I mean, I believe that it's always progressed as far as the quality of dogs go. I mean, we can argue, you know, about some people say that the dogs were better back in the day, you know, this and that, you know, I mean, that we can argue that, but I think it's in a good space because of all the other platforms that they got, like the wall climb and things. I could see it actually probably going to like some ESPN type of stuff, you know, that you see with those other dogs, and you know, these dogs jumping up the wall and racing, you know, treadmills and stuff, you know, and you know, nice venues. You know, I really could see that. I mean, it might take somebody else to come in and do it, you know what I'm saying? But I definitely can see it happening. Unless, of course, we get too far under the 8 ball and then they try to ban, and you know, because I've been seeing a lot of bans and stuff, which I'm gonna be talking about on my show also. Just with breeders, you know, like if you don't have a commercial breeder's license, they want you to get your dogs inspected every 6 months, and you know, you can't breed. Like this is happening in different spots. You know, one of my partners from Indiana shared a article with me, so they're definitely tightening up. And just like the novice breeding, they're trying to eliminate that. But for the guys that you know, get all their certifications and stuff, just like the marijuana industry, you know, the guys that want to get their license and do it the right way, it's going to be plenty of bulldogs and stuff still being bred, and great dogs for years to come, in my opinion.
Yeah, pretty much the same. Whatever was done with it, it's always going to be done with it.
Right.
It's just now there's more avenues, and it's more worldwide. It's worldwide now, where before it wasn't. So you're going to have competition in different parts of the world where it's legal, and you're going to have all these other things, you know, hunting and catch dogs and legal sports and all kinds of stuff. Even Samurai, he's into the protection side of it. So there's numerous ways. People worry, you know, at some point the breed's not going to be here. I don't see that happen unless they totally ban it from every grain of sand in the United States. Somebody's going to have a pit bull,
Right.
and I don't see that happen. That's more of a civil rights issue. That's more of a, you know, prejudice against one particular breed, and that generally doesn't fly. It may fly in certain cities, counties, maybe even a state, but all 50 states, I don't see that happen.
Gotcha. Blue de Chanel, a lilac Merrill Frenchie. What's up? How does economics of supply and demand affect the market value of even the highest quality kennel productions?
Well, in the pandemic, you probably got more dog sales across the board than any other time. You probably in the history of America. You know what I'm saying? So if you a real breeder, man, stay down. You know, because the economy and everything, the dog prices, you know, the even the food is higher. You know, so I mean, if you're really in this, you know, you gotta weather the storm, but you gotta understand that there's a lot of avenues for people to sell puppies now. You know, you got all these platforms, and then you know, it's a lot of people that bought dogs during the pandemic. Those guys got puppies now. You know, that was years ago. Now all those pandemic guys that thought it was a good idea to jump into the dogs, no matter what breed it was, French bulldogs, American Pit Bull Terriers, you know,
True.
they didn't get in it for the wall climb. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
They got in it to be breeders. And to
Good
have
point.
this beautiful dog on the screen right now, that's what in the bag that people saw, that person probably paid for that beautiful dog. And so you got to understand there's a lot of that, but they're kind of dwindling off and it's starting to get back to the soil. You just got to be solid and you keep that integrity if you're selling dogs, keep good communication, and just being a good person, I think, will outweigh all of the cons that could come your way, because you don't need 100 people to buy a dog. A litter only got 8 puppies or something anyway. So
yeah, that's true.
Get some good, solid people, that's really down for you and support you, you'd be just fine.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, those two things always go together.
Mm-hmm.
For me, it's not so much supply and demand, because there's always going to be a demand for them. So the market is going to be, what are the numbers that you can produce to put out there, the people that want them. For me, it's always the quality of the individual, of the dogs. That you see dwindling, because most people just want a dog. If you compare a pet to a functioning dog, whatever breed it is, most people just want a pet. They're not out there working them. They're not out there competing with them. Even legal sports or hunting like that. That's a small sector of any breed's community. So it's the quality of it. Like I say, you're always going to have pit bulls, but how good are they? Well, what are they good for? What are you doing with them? Why do you have it? Those are always questions I ask, and most people can't answer one or two of the questions, other than I like it or I want a pet or something like that.
Yeah.
They admire the dog. They have an infatuation with it. Whether they're going to do anything with it or not, most of the time they ain't. Right.
Mm-hmm.
And most people, at least in my day, it's not, people say, well, some guy, they never sold a dog. That's very, very rare. Even the guys that didn't sell dogs, as a rule, still sold a dog here and there. But
Mm-hmm.
most of them don't breed them for the market per se. They might cut some loose, or they might have advertised, and maybe they have 200 dogs. Yeah, they're going to sell as many as they can.
Mm-hmm.
But most people didn't have 200 dogs, and the demand for their dogs was not high, because you're looking for particular bloodlines, particular breeders, particular dogs that you like. That's changed. So now people just want a well-bred pit bull with some papers, and from whoever they can get it from, because a lot of times they don't have no choice. It's what's available.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of the breeders are not making them available to the public. So you're going to go wherever you can go to get one.
Yeah. Well, Jordan, what you got, bro?
Yeah, man, that's the same. It's that happened many times before, and the market is gonna right itself, because what's gonna happen is a lot of the people that was looking to turn a profit real quick, they're gonna soon realize that this is devaluate. They're not making that much. They're not gonna make no money. They're just gonna keep on pouring money in. The sooner that they get out, the better. And a lot of them is gonna just jump ship.
Yeah,
it's gonna clean up itself.
Yeah.
They find themselves being dog poor.
That was a good one right there. Yeah. Because you know what? At the end of the day, though, you gotta have the love. You gotta be about just being a dog owner first and foremost. And the big thing with the pandemic, those people came and got 5-6 dogs. They was loading up, bringing in dogs from everywhere that they possibly could, and they were trying to get ahead real quick. And now you seeing the full effects of it. We 4 years past post pandemic, and all those puppies, some of them puppies is having grand puppies by now.
Mm-hmm.
Dogs compound, not multiply, they compound. So they go by like, the first generation might only be 8, the second generation might be 64, the third generation might be 364. You see what I'm saying? That's how dogs multiply. So it makes a lot of sense the way that we suffering right now. But it's gonna be okay, because I'm here to stay, whether one way or the other. I'm always having me a dog.
Right.
A couple of them.
Yeah. Well, I guess we can call it, bro.
But yeah, gentlemen, it's been lovely though. It's really been a honor and a privilege. We got to do this again.
Oh, sure.
Oh yeah, man. Yeah, I appreciate it.
I mean, we got some great.
Yeah,
we went over confirmation. We talked about the journal.
This is productive. I like this.
Yeah, it was nice.
Yeah,
and we just chipping the ice though. We just chipping the ice.
We ain't got in there like that yet. And y'all community seemed like y'all got solid men. We've been in there, had to knock them over in the head with wrenches all night.
Now I'm telling you, man, the APBT community, I done met some of the best men in the world. I guarantee you. You do get your scumbags, people that's coming through, you know what I'm saying? Right. But all in all, I'm not a married man. I mean, I'm in a, I might as well be married, but I always say, if I got married, my best men would be dog men.
Mm-hmm.
Not by like something I'm just trying to say, but like, these are my guys, these are my brothers, and they good guys, productive. Like on another level, just like we would want these dogs to be on another level. That's how they're performing in life. They winning in real life, and they good guys.
Yes. It's a very special community and an old community, ain't it? Yeah.
Nah, very helpful, man. Like I'm putting together a magazine. Schoolboy got books and stuff. We talk on the back streets. Nobody's listening. You know what I'm saying? He's giving me point. He's schooling me on what type of content, what to do this. And when I get writer's block, he's right there to just like, man, just go. So this is a thing it's never gonna die. It's never gonna die.
Yeah.
You're right.
I heard that, Buck.
Yeah, and then see y'all, and I'm gonna tell you something, boy. Y'all got some guys that talk like Schoolboy. In our community, we don't necessarily have guys that's been in as long as him that will share information and stuff like this. And y'all got something really special going on. And Schoolboy is wise. And one thing I know about too, he can read people very well. He's surprised. He's very, very, very smart, and boy, y'all doing good.
Yeah, we appreciate it.
Yeah,
even my
always a pleasure.
I got my 25-year button, for the breed I put down 25 years ago.
Damn,
and still I can go. It's just so much more talking to Schoolboy. You know what I'm saying? So, I appreciate it, man.
Yeah,
we always have a good time on Buck Show. He got good people on there, good topics.
Yeah,
and we can relate on the same level.
Y'all welcome to pull up too. Now we just kicking it, talking. You guys welcome to pull up too. Now,
I've been listening in sometime. I can't remember some of them brothers' names. Yeah, but y'all be going in. And I be picking up little tips.
Yeah.
Even if it's up around the yard, like y'all keep them damn yard cleaned up. You won't have some of them little insect infestations and things like that. People need to know. You know what I mean?
Buck is one of the few, if anybody, that he'll put the thing up there in the chat. Anybody can call in. Anybody. I've never seen him deny nobody. Don't have to schedule it. You could talk about some totally different thing. It don't matter. I don't think anybody else does that. Which is good. Somebody got something to say. He pull on up. Good, bad, or indifferent, whatever you got to say. And then he can,
but don't give a damn. Yeah.
Because you know what? Everybody has something to say.
My brothers and sisters done call me worse stuff than these guys can.
That's what I tell people. I said, I've been called worse than better people than you.
And Buck, he cool. He'll give you that work too if you want it. I know.
Hey, I want it. I'll dice you up.
Hey, hold on before we get out of here though. This is Diamond Grit Cutty Corso for the Pit Bull community. This guy, he's a Corso breeder, but he does hog hunting. He's pretty popular in our community. One question, Schoolboy. You seem to not be a big fan of inbreeding, but not totally against it either. Give an example of when you would use inbreeding in your program to improve on what you have.
Good question. We did a show with him, didn't we, Joe?
Yeah,
Or-
that's
or-
Sam.
yeah.
That's Sam. Yeah.
Good people, man. Good people. Thank you, Diamond Grit. Yeah. One example would be if I'm going to breed brother and sister, it would come after making an outcross. So I make an outcross, take a brother and sister from that, breed them together. And what I'm looking to get is the influence from both parents.
Mhm.
You might get the influence from one, you might get the influence from the other side, but what I'm looking for is the influence from both sides, right? In that brother and sister breeding. If you want to increase the influence of the mother, of course, you make a mother to son breeding. You want the sire's influence more or traits, you make father to daughter. So that's what I mean when I say inbreeding has its place. Because once you made those inbreedings that I just mentioned and you got what you want, you don't have to go any further with it. You captured what you needed to. So why inbreed again after doing that? When you can move forward with your line breedings, tight and loose, and some crosses, and then make another inbreeding when you want to retain the traits of a particular individual or individuals in the future. That way you don't have that close consanguineous breeding they talk about, right? Where you get all these dummy and all these faults, right? So it does have its place. But like I said, that word purity, people, they get crazy on it. How much purer do you want a dog than a mother bred, a daughter bred to its sire, or a son bred to its mother?
Mhm.
If you got what you want, if it worked, what are you gonna do? Double up on that? For what? You already got
it. Right. It's
Right?
crazy though. But people think that it's
And you could take those breedings, okay, and make a brother sister breeding from that, right? But if you do it from an outcross and you got what you wanted, why would you want to make a brother sister breeding with something else? And I'm not saying it hasn't been done. I know people who have heavily inbred, but they themselves will tell you, you got to call hard, you got to be real selective, and you don't get a lot of top individuals from it. You just don't.
You don't.
You might make that inbreeding and get one. If you're lucky, you get two.
Mhm.
Me, I'm always looking at the competition side and the health side and the athleticism. So I don't want just one dog out of the litter or two. Sometimes that's all you get. I want 6 out of 8
Right.
that I can run with,
Yeah.
because that's what the whole thing, was geared towards. I'm gonna use these in the future. I don't want just one. I'm gonna want a bunch of them.
Mhm.
So that's my way of thinking. But again, the history across the board, different species of competitive or working animals. That's what it showed me. Whether it's game fowl, racehorses, Iditarod dogs, and greyhound racers. All the concepts that I talk about, a lot of them, that's who I got it from. It wasn't just dog people. It wasn't just Ronald Boyles or Maurice Carver or Howard Heinzel, right? It was also Woody Stevens in horse racing and Tessio in European horse racing and Frank, Frank Z or Frank Shy and Walter Z and Thomas W. Murphy in game fowl, right? They use the same things that I talked about. The only thing with me was when I took something from someone else, I had to test it to see if it worked. Some of the stuff don't work.
Right.
It didn't work for me, right? But the things that did, I used them. And I had that influence from them, whether reading their books or talking to these people, how they did things, to get some kind of inclination of what I'm going to do, what direction I should go. How do I do this? How do I do that? And across the board, the first thing they said was you have to have a set of standards of how you want to breed your dogs. What kind of dogs do you want? Because you're going to make the kind of dogs you like. And there's particular ways of doing it. And not only that, there's a ton of different ways you can do it. So that's why I caution against inbreeding too much. Not that it doesn't have its place, but people go overboard with it.
Right. Don't y'all do some stuff with 7-8 sports?
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah, we're on Patreon. It's 78 Sports Dog Talk Raw, and we're on Patreon. If you just look it up, you want to join, get in there. We talk a little more open, than regular shows. That's kind of why we did it. They were flagging our videos, on YouTube.
Yeah, he probably don't even remember me, but he used to show litters for me on y'all talks.
Oh,
yeah.
Oh, cool.
If it was a Corso litter, that was me.
Yeah.
And then
okay.
And
on Dante's Boxing Nation,
it was a
if you
sponsor
see the Corso litter,
I remember that.
yeah.
Yeah.
Boxing Nation showing for me too.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah.
That was me. If you ever see a Corso litter go across there, that was me. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I remember that.
I'm a boxing fanatic, so I always, it always went hand with me. So
yeah. Cool, man. Yeah, I remember it. He put the pictures up and everything.
Yeah, that was me. Yeah, back 2 years back.
Nice.
Yeah.
Salute, 7-8.
Yeah, salute. Okay, guys, man. I think that's gonna be a wrap. Jordan, you want to close it out?
Yeah, well, I appreciate everybody that joined. I hope that y'all picked up as much information as I did. It was a really informative talk for me. I learned about the ADBA showing dogs. We talked about confirmation. We talked about the journal. We talked about working, keeps, hand walking. It was so many different things that we covered. If you missed anything, you could always run it back. If you didn't catch on some stuff, hey, listen, we're gonna come back again. So stay tuned. Make sure you subscribe. Buck City Kennels, Schoolboy got a channel, Schoolboy channel, NWA County Corsos, and of course here Exotic Borbos on YouTube. But look, I'm definitely subscribing. I gotta pull up on Buck City's channel. I haven't seen none of the videos there, but listen, we're gonna keep doing this. We're gonna come back again, and I appreciate everybody that joined. Thank you very much for your time. We appreciate y'all.
Yeah.
But to my guests, thank y'all for joining. And Joe, again, thanks for putting this together, man. I really appreciate you, bro.
Oh yeah, no problem. We'll do it again.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Thanks for having me on.
Yes, sir.
Most definitely. Thanks for joining, y'all. Hey, y'all, everybody enjoy the rest of the day. Stay busy, y'all. Stay busy.
Yes, sir.
Peace.
Peace up.